Good afternoon, Build Your Brainers. Hope you are doing well. Today, I wanted to speak to you more about the circadian rhythms, probably just because a really good friend of mine posted that she wanted to know more about it. And I'm surprised that she doesn't because she's so brilliant in so many ways. So, this is for you. The circadian rhythm with a neurological slant is really important. And I see this often at my school because when I talk about getting people into an alpha brainwave state, there is a very fine line between the alpha and the theta and the delta. And alpha is essentially just above the Schumann resonance. So it's at about an 8 hertz frequency resonance. And that can go up to about 13. Whereas the delta and theta, they are all lower. And those are your sleep. Once you get out of your sleep cycles, you start going through those brainwave states so that your brain starts becoming more awake till you finally transition from alpha to beta. And high functioning is actually gamma. So those are your 5 rays of frequencies. However, the circadian rhythm, most people don't really talk about it, but it is directly related to these brainwave states. I'm sure lots of people have heard the statement that every hour you sleep before 12 o'clock is worth 2 hours of after 12 o'clock sleep. So it really is important to be mindful of when to go to bed. Now we're going into the dark cycle, and so obviously the time change messes up our circadian rhythm, but it is getting darker earlier, and so for that reason you have to set your body up for success. Now the easy ways to get into that is obviously we've spoken about the alpha brainwave state. The other thing is eating. If you can try and eat 3 hours, at least 3 hours before you go to bed. But the easiest biohack is to go outside at sunset and sun gaze. So when you talk about sun gazing, especially now with all the holes in the environment, it is better for you to stare just below the sun and stare at those rays. 30 seconds will hit the retinas. The retinas will realize, okay, it's time for sleep. And because of that, the pineal gland will start functioning again in the circadian rhythm. It's just like a turbo boost for the pineal gland to start producing the melatonin, which you need to get into your sleep cycles. And I know it's a roundabout way of discussing it, but it's really important for the students, and particularly my students know that I demand at least 8 hours sleep. And out of those 8 hours sleep, I want at least half of those to be before 12 o'clock. And obviously these are younger students, so that is easier for the parents to determine that. But if you do that, it's an automatic win for your brain to get into the alpha brainwave state. I have also seen at school when the parents don't do that and we get the child into an alpha brainwave state, but because they're so tired, they just slip off into the theta or the delta, which is obviously not what we want because we can't harness that brain capacity for the neuroplasticity of their brain. So I hope that wasn't too geeky for you, but it's something that's really worth mentioning. And, there are many studies out there now that are starting to talk about it relating to Alzheimer's. So let's just give our pineal gland the most it can possibly get and give it those circadian rhythms. All right. Have a beautiful day. Speak soon. Bye.